Evernorth Health Services, we believe costs shouldn't get in the way of life-changing care, and we're doing everything in our power to make it possible. Behavioral health solutions that also keep your projections at their best? It's possible. Pharmacy benefits that benefit your bottom line? It's possible. Complex specialty care that cares about your ROI? It's possible. Because we're already doing it. All while saving businesses billions. That's Wonder made possible. Learn more at evernorth.com/wonder.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
I got down to the very last rounds, and I remember feeling so confident about the role, and I was like, I totally have this in the bag. And then the epitome of my life happened. They threw us up on a wall, and they measured us by height.
Hello, world, and welcome back to another episode of Thanks for Coming In. I'm your host, Jillian Clare. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the show where I speak to fellow actors about their journey in the industry, and I make them share an audition story. It's always a good time. If you're not subscribed to the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button now. You can also follow us on social media and stay in touch with us that way. You can also just hit us up and say hi. I love saying hi to people. What's going on, friends? It's summer, it's hot, it's a lot. Summer also means that it's almost my birthday, which is exciting, although I don't know what I'm going to do for my birthday this year. I feel like I always go a little too hard for my birthday, and I'm not sure what I want to do this year. Maybe I'll just have some people over, who knows. One thing I have on my calendar that I'm very excited about is I'm officiating one of my best friend's weddings in a week, just over a week. You can now call me Minister Jillian. I will accept that. The place where I got certified, I guess, I don't know what it's called. They also gave me a parking permit. It says Minister Parking Permit, and I honestly want to try it. Has that worked anywhere? Can I just get free parking in places by saying I'm a minister? Yeah, I think I'll try it out. I also got a card that you can put into your wallet, which I think is kind of fun. Anyway, I'm very excited that I get to do this for her and her future husband, and it's going to be so fun. Yay! Today on the show, we have Peder Lindell. He's one of the stars of the brand new movie Descendants, The Rise of Red, which will be out July 12th on Disney Plus and August 9th on Disney Channel. This movie is an extension of the Descendants franchise, which so many have grown to love. And I just love the idea of giving all of these incredible villains some origin stories. It was a pleasure to talk to Peder and learn about all the really cool things he has going on in his life, because he does a lot outside of acting, and I love that as someone who also does a lot outside of acting in the entertainment world. I think it makes us better artists. So here is my conversation with Peder. And welcome to the show, Peder.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
So excited to have you on and talk about all the cool things that you're up to right now. But the first thing that I always love to ask everyone who comes on the show is, what made you want to become an actor?
Oh, gosh. That's a big question.
I know. We got to hit it hard with that first one.
I think it was a plethora of things. I grew up in a small town, about 20,000 people, and there were two colleges in the town. So, though despite its out of city location, there was a lot of artistic influence. I joined a choir called the Northfield Youth Choirs when I was maybe 6.
Oh, wow.
And I sung with them for years, and we toured all over the world. And I was working with just these incredible choral directors, Anton Armstrong at at St. Olaf College, etc. And that got me into the singing world, and I was like, okay, well, obviously I'm gonna do some musical theater camps and more. And I started what did I do? I started doing operas, and then I started doing musical theater in Minneapolis, and that was incredible. And then I started getting the professional world, and that sort of consumed my childhood. It was great to grow up in that world. It's filled with wonderful people, and a lot of those people were my inspirations to continue acting. Some people might say these famous names in Hollywood are their inspirations, but I had these smaller guys in Minnesota that just truly sparked this diehard inspiration in this wonderful craft.
Mm. Yeah, I totally relate to that. I feel like when you grow up in the theater world, especially doing, smaller type of community theater, you find these incredible people who have connected to the art of it rather than like the fame and the money and the celebrity of it. And so it really instills the passion in you. And
Totally.
it makes you a better artist in the end game because you're focused on the art. You're not focused on what else is involved with
Yeah.
it.
And I always say that I would be completely satisfied. I would be completely happy to just act for the rest of my life and whether wherever that leads me,
Mhm.
whatever crazy road I go down in the future, I as long as I'm doing what I love and I have people that I love around me, I honestly I could not be more happy.
Mm, I love that. Well, it sounds like you had very supportive parents too, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Good interpretation.
What was it like for them? Like what did they do when you were like, I want to continue doing this?
Sure. I think since the very beginning, there was never really any question of whether they'd support me in what I was interested in, and I kept expressing interest in this world of acting, and it it is a very volatile world. I mean, the running joke is that you are going to be working or waiting tables for the rest of your life.
Yep.
They were super supportive. I mean, so I grew up about 45 minutes outside of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul in Minnesota, and I couldn't drive as a kid, so my parents would drive me there and back to the theater or to the whatever I was doing every day. I mean, when I think about it, that's a huge sacrifice, and there's a lot of parents who maybe wouldn't have done that, and if mine hadn't, there's no way I would have been where I am today.
Mm. I always wonder, are your parents artistic in any way? Like my parents, because I grew up acting too, and my
Yep.
parents maybe weren't like technically artistic, like they weren't actors or singers, but they always had artistic things. Like my dad always did construction stuff, and my mom loved like decorating and things like that. And so I feel like they were much more adaptive to this lifestyle than maybe
Sure.
somebody who was more involved in like sports.
You know, I would call my parents artistic, but I wouldn't. They're not artists. My mom is a nurse and my dad is a pilot. So very different worlds than the world that I live in. But the values that they instilled in me as a kid helped me navigate the world of acting, and obviously they learned as I've been learning, and we've been navigating it from there. So whatever I got from them growing up, but clearly something worked out.
That's so cool. I love that your parents have these like very, normal, stable, like important jobs.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, son, you can go be an artist. Have fun."
You go out there, go do your thing. And you know what I love about it though? I feel like I have become more well-rounded because of it as a
Oh
result. I
yeah.
I grew up doing a lot of traveling with my dad. With the airlines, you can fly standby or non-rev, so I would do a lot of flights with him internationally, and I'd
Mm,
be like, "My dad's flying the plane, that was so cool," and, you get to know a lot of different cultures, a lot of
mhm.
different peoples, and I think in the world that we live in, it's very easy to become closed-minded,
Yeah.
if you don't get to travel.
Yeah. So true. I mean, And just like I can imagine the stories too, growing up with your dad traveling a lot and your mom. I mean, my gosh, she must know so much about so many things. And the
Yeah,
stories that
she's
she would
amazing.
bring home, I mean, that all of that has an imprint on you as an artist. It all brings you better perspective for that audition or that show or whatever it is that you're doing.
Totally. Yeah, that is something that I've actually, I don't know if I have been saying it, but I am gonna start saying it
Yeah.
now. It's like being well-rounded is so important as an actor. I mean, every time you get a script, I have an audition after this interview today,
I
and
love that.
yeah,
I just got mine in 2 seconds ago.
let's go. Well, we're gonna kill
Yeah,
it.
we are.
I can't wait. But I mean, you have to like take stuff from your life and relate to it, you know. And if you don't have tons of different experiences, sometimes it's hard.
Hmm.
And so I really value at every unique and individual experience I get.
Yeah. So tell me about like the journey to Los Angeles. When did that start? How did it start? What was that process like for you?
Sure. I Well, it started when I was started in high school. I mean, I had been acting my entire childhood, so there there were other worlds that I knew. I had gotten into aviation in freshman year of
Oh
high
my God,
school, I
wait, have
think.
you flown a plane?
Yeah, I'm a commercial pilot.
Shut up. What?
Surprise!
This is amazing. Okay, continue, but we're going back to that at
Okay,
some point.
okay, we're gonna do a little
Yeah, yeah.
circle thing. It's gonna be great. Um, where was I? Okay, so I mean, there were some other worlds that I was potentially considering, but I knew that I loved acting, and LA was the place for me in terms of that. I wanted to be on screen, and I knew that if I had gone somewhere else, I just would not get the connections. I wouldn't be going to events. I wouldn't be in the world immersed. So when I was looking at universities, I wanted to go to LA.
Hmm.
So I considered the options, found the place for me, and it's been fantastic. I just threw myself into this world, and honestly, you know, it is the perfect place for me because I got the ocean,
Yeah.
I've got the mountains, and I've got the industry,
Yeah.
and that's all I need.
And you got LAX.
Yeah, I got LAX. Literally, I'm out. Yeah,
Okay, so wait, you're a commercial pilot as well. Tell me how that fits into everything.
sure. Well, so obviously, my dad is a pilot for United,
Mhm.
and I started doing my training when I was 16, and I got my private pilot's license at 17. And then I got my instrument rating when I was 18, and then I got my commercial rating, and now I'm working on my multi-engine rating. But it was basically a world that came into my life unexpectedly,
Hmm.
and I fell in love. I mean, flying planes is incredible. It's like, you know, I'm flying smaller planes. I'm not in huge planes. It's so surreal just sitting up in the plane sometimes, like flying, and I look out and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I know how the plane is flying. I know the aerodynamics, but how is this plane flying? Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
It's so cool. I definitely am that person who like saw Top Gun Maverick and was like, "Do I need to learn how to fly a plane? Like, should I do that? I
Literally,
don't know."
literally.
Um,
It's
that's awesome though. I mean, I have like one of my closest acting friends, Thomas,
Mm.
is a flight attendant for a private airline. And so
Oh,
they're
no way.
constantly going back and forth, but I guess with, the ability for us to do self-tapes, as much as I'd like to be in the room again, it's nice cuz you can have
Totally,
a well-paying job and
totally.
still continue like your journey as an artist.
Yeah, yeah. It's it is an interesting world that we live in after COVID with all the self-tapes. It definitely has its benefits, and it definitely, like you said, you know, we miss being in the room. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we just gotta keep moving forward and love what we're doing.
Exactly. How do you feel about the virtual auditions? Those are still so funny to me. It's
Sure. I You know, I'm just happy to be there
yeah.
when I'm there. They are funny, and especially with all their technical difficulties
Yeah.
and what it's it's hard. Everyone knows that. I think you know, my facts could be wrong on this, but I remember reading something about how like post COVID when we were doing self tapes, there were the most amount of TV firings in that year because your
What?
face. Like, what? No, it's because there wasn't any chemistry. They were casting these people off of Zoom, and they weren't able to test chemistry, and then things were going wrong, and evidently there some people got fired.
I mean,
But
it makes sense. Like that's kind of the whole reason. There's a casting director that I've done classes with, and she always says, "I want to know how the person smells. Like I want to be in the room with them." And I think it's
yeah,
like funny because, what if you hire this actor and they get to set and it's like they're not somebody who takes a shower every day. And just like
yeah,
you just never know.
you never know.
Um well, I want to talk to you a little bit about your new movie, Descendants: Rise of Red, which comes out July
Oh,
12th. Tell me all about it. This is a part of the Descendants, like I guess it's really the franchise at this point because we're past the point of trilogies, right? I
yeah,
think so. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely call it a franchise. I'm super excited for you guys to see it. It is obviously an extension of the previous three movies. We're exploring a new world,
Mm.
so we're hopping into Wonderland, going down the rabbit hole, and it was incredible to film it. It was so much fun, especially because growing up on these films, I was a fan. I watched the movies with my sister in my parents' bedroom, and we're like, whoa, like we can do the dances. And I always thought I could potentially be in it. Like I was like, okay, well, this is totally something I would love to do, but it never even crossed my mind that I would have the opportunity to do that.
Mm. So what I mean, tell me like about your character and how he fits into this new Wonderland world.
Yeah, totally. So Morgie is the son of Morgana Le Fay,
Okay.
the evil witch in the King Arthur stories, the Sword in the Stone, if you've seen it
Yeah.
back then, and I'm one of Uliana's henchmen. So Uliana is we're doing all sorts of family trees here. Uliana is the baby
Do I
sister
need a
of Percy.
whiteboard?
No, literally, like, let's throw it up here. Like, pay attention, class. Here's what we're doing. Um, but so we have the VKs, which are Hook, Morgie, Maleficent, Hades, and Uliana. And that's my crew. That's the world that I live in. And I don't know if you've seen the movie. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm not going to give too many spoilers. We're going back in time, and that all sorts of crazy stuff is gonna happen. You guys are gonna love it. I'm like treading very
Yeah.
carefully. Like all I can think of is Tom
Yeah.
Holland in all of his
All of
little
his
spoils.
interviews. Honestly, they should just not allow him to talk until the movie comes out.
No, literally. They need a Tom Holland double, interview double.
Yes,
That
they do.
would be wild. Um, I don't even know what I was talking about.
I mean, it sounds
Um,
fun, and I
it
love
is
the
fun.
idea of going into like a different world with the series and kind of
Yeah.
exploring something new, but then keeping the same themes. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, totally. And the music and the dances are so much fun. I was just talking in the last interview about Ashley Wallen, the choreographer. He did Greatest Showman,
Oh
and we
wow.
all fell in love with his dances in that, or at least if you had watched the films, they're incredible. So that was a fantastic experience working with him, and some of the numbers are just, I was like giddy filming them. I mean, there's this one. I'm not gonna say too much about it, but there's this one in Life is Sweeter where there's a bunch of introductions, and it's just this, like, for lack of a better word, bad, um, entrance where it's just incredible. It's so much fun. There's like the good and the bad, and like the action and like the stunts and it was just so much fun to film. Every moment. I keep calling it Disney camp.
I mean, it must have been quite the experience to I don't know, what was your rehearsal like? Like what was that process for you guys with all of the songs and the dancing
Yeah.
and everything going on? It must have been quite the experience.
It was quite rigorous too. It we called it Disney boot camp.
Yeah.
It was like Disney camp, Disney boot camp, Disney, a lot of different little names we had. And we did it for about 2 weeks in January prior to filming. and we came in and we just started dancing
Mm.
like crazy. We started learning the dances, and this was like 6, 8 hours a day. Obviously we get breaks, but we were very sore, and we were getting those drilled in, and that was fun.
Mm.
It truly was, to work with all those incredible people as well.
Now, I mean, I know that you were doing like opera and musicals before. How were your dancing skills? Were you like ready and prepared to take this on, or were you like, we're gonna try this out?
Totally. I think I think maybe I would be insulting the dance community if I called myself a dancer, but I
I
do
feel that.
think I am pretty good at dancing. Like, I mean, you guys will see it in the movie, you guys let me know, but we grew up doing casting calls where you had to do a dance call at theater. You
Hmm.
you gotta learn it quickly. I'm definitely a mover, and I do have dance experience. I did grow up doing tap, jazz, and
Mm.
ballet for several years of my life, but I don't consistently train
Yeah.
anymore, so there is a learning gap
Yeah,
there.
I feel that. It's like anytime you would go to like the calls and they'd be like, "Okay, we're gonna do dance first and not singing first,"
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Well, I should
Well,
just leave then."
I might be in the bathroom
Yeah.
for the first part of this
Can we
audition.
go to the second part? Because I can do that part better.
Literally.
Well, I'm very
But
excited.
my philosophy in those was always, because I knew that I was not gonna be the best dancer there,
Yeah.
but I wanted to stand out, so I would try to implore as much confidence as possible in all of my mistakes, and throw in something crazy like a backflip, and usually that gave the panel a little bit of a shock
Oh,
and
there you go.
whatever.
Do something. I can't do backflips, so I would have just been screwed. But I love that. I like the
Yeah.
idea of just like shocking them a little bit to like take their mind off the other part.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's so hilarious.
Well, I'm excited for everyone to see it. It sounds like it's going to be really cool, and really fun. But now,
Totally.
now we're at the part of the show where I like to ask my guests to share an audition story from their past. It can be something funny that's happened in the room, the one that got away. Is there a story that you would like to share with the listeners?
I have a good one. I have a bunch of good ones. They're all from mostly my childhood though, because I feel like we were talking with self tapes. There's not a lot of the same interactions going on in the room, because
Yeah.
obviously you're not in the room. But I was auditioning for To Kill a Mockingbird
Mm.
for the role of Jem at the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, and this is I got in early in the day, and this was like an all day audition. It's so silly walking into these auditions. You see like 100 other kids that look exactly like you, and you're like, this is so weird. And so we were auditioning, and I was they were just they were knocking down the list of,
Hmm.
like, I was trying to draw like a pyramid here, like, but it'd be like an upside down pyramid
Like
because
Dance
the
Moms,
roll was at the
Abby's
bottom.
little pyramid.
Yeah, right? There's a visualization somewhere, and we're gonna find it. But I got down to the very last rounds, and I remember feeling so confident about the role. I was like, I totally have this in the bag. And then the epitome of my life happened. They threw us up on a wall, and they measured us by height. And my brother, Dill, in the film has to be shorter than me, but the character that they wanted for him was 3 inches taller than me, so
No.
they sent me on my way. But I will say, I'm not incredibly short. I'm like I'm like 5'6", 5'7", but being short on in the theater world has posed very helpful for me. But that was the one that got away.
Oh man. It's okay. You can get him back, and in like, 40 years, you can mount it and play Atticus and be like,
Totally.
"What's up? I'm back."
Yep, totally. Let's do it.
I love that. That's an interesting point though that you bring up height and theater, because I feel like with theater it can help so much, especially with continuing to play younger roles. Like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
you're allowed to, even in the plays where they do, 30-year-olds playing like 10-year-olds, because that's what
Yeah.
it's supposed to be. I mean, that's a huge plus.
100%. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely been very helpful for me in auditions. Because the whole thing is you don't want your age to get out there, because then, at least with the casting directors, they don't want to see it, because then they just look at the face and they think what age and whether you'd fit for the role. So I'm gonna keep playing young as long as I can. Obviously,
Do it. I mean, I still randomly get auditions for like 18, and I'm like, honey, have we seen?
well, we take it. We take whatever we can
Yeah,
get. Right?
no, we take it.
We're struggling artists.
Struggling artist, damn it.
Artists are always struggling.
Well, what's next for you? What are you working on? What do you like? What are your aspirations for the next couple of years?
Oh gosh, all sorts of things. I have a lot of goals, a lot of things that I want to achieve. Right now I'm working on my skydiving license, and obviously I'm wrapping up my multi-engine training, and I'm planning on becoming a dive master for scuba diving.
Okay.
Then I also have a movie, Scraps, that is coming out. It's premiering this week and is coming out on Amazon hopefully in the next 5-ish months.
Awesome.
And there's so many things. I'm graduating college. I'm gonna be in the world. Watch out! The world, watch out! I'm gonna be free. So there's a million things. It's a busy life.
It's a busy
but it's so
life,
fun.
man. It's a busy life. I like that. Any aspirations to like step behind the camera at any point?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I would love to produce. I'd love to direct. I live in a house with 4 other roommates, incredible people, and we have 2 directors, 2 filmmakers, a sound designer, and an actor.
So you just have an in-house studio.
We have an in-house studio, literally. Like, it's very fun. It's a collaborative experience. So things are coming. Keep your eyes on the horizon.
I love that. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Where can people follow you on social media to keep up with all your stuff that's going on?
It's been so much fun to be here. You can follow me on Instagram, Peder Lindell, Peter with a D, and on TikTok. I post all of my aviation stuff on TikTok. So if you want to see aviation vlogs there, it's also same handle, Peder Lindell, and throw something up in the comments and say hi.
I will be watching that because I love aviation stuff, so I'm going to be watching that for sure. But again, thank you so much for coming on, and congratulations on all of the fun things that are happening in your life. I'm really excited to see where it all takes you.
Thank you, Jillian. It was wonderful being here.
Thanks again to Peter for coming on the show and spending some time with me. Check out Descendants, The Rise of Red, July 12th on Disney+, and make sure to tune in next time. As always, thanks for coming in.
Talmor, Sheshin Morgie. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Redolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Redolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.